George Clooney, a prominent American actor, filmmaker, and philanthropist, was born on May 6, 1961, in Lexington, Kentucky. His family background is rich and diverse, contributing to his multifaceted personality and successful career. Clooney's mother, Nina Bruce, was not only a beauty queen but also served as a city councilwoman, showcasing her commitment to both public service and aesthetics. His father, Nick Clooney, held a notable career as an anchorman and television host, including a 5-year stint on the AMC network. The actor has bagged multiple laurels, including 4 Golden Globes, 1 British Academy Film Award, 1 Critics' Choice Award, 2 People's Choice Awards, and 2 Academy Awards, one as an actor and the other as a producer, amongst many others. George's mother, Nina Bruce, was a former beauty pageant queen, and his father, Nick Clooney, was a former anchor person, TV host, and brother of singer Rosemary Clooney. His ancestral roots include Irish, English, and German origins. The human rights lawyer shared that she met George at 35, when she had become accustomed to the idea that she would remain single for the rest of her life. The award-winning actor's first major role was on the 1984 sitcom, E.R. as Ace. He's come a long way since then and starred in prominent titles like Gravity, Three Kings, Out of Sight, Up in the Air, and many more. Despite being in his 60s, George continues to go strong in his personal and professional life, although it's not well known what he managed to survive over the years. In November 2020, George had neck surgery and was reportedly given fentanyl before being sent home with a neck brace. While the surgery was for a trivial disc problem resulting from a motorbike accident in Italy in 2018, the fail-safe alum said the doctors found other issues during treatment, like arthritis. Another astonishing fact about the cheerful and easy-looking Oscar winner is that he's endured excruciating pain and discomfort for many years. In 2005, George suffered a terrifying spinal injury on the set of his movie Syriana when someone reportedly kicked over the chair he was sitting in. Consequently, he tore his dura mater, the wrap around the spine that holds the spinal fluid. He was said to have suffered a critical brain injury from banging his head, which resulted in splitting headaches and memory loss. As the doctors worked to identify his problem, George said he found himself battling soul-crushing pain, despite downing painkillers for 3 to 4 months. Before the surgery, "It was the most unbearable pain I've ever been through. Literally where you'd go. Well, you'll have to kill yourself at some point. You can't live like this," recalled George, adding how he contemplated taking his own life when he couldn't endure the pain anymore. Eventually, the American actor decided to see a pain guy who taught him to train himself to think of his pain as normal, which would, in turn, banish it from existence. George explained how he worked hard to reset his pain threshold levels. Instead of mourning his life before the life-changing accident, the megastar figured a way out. He said it felt euphoric when he finally tricked his brain into feeling normal again. George also indulged in mental exercises, such as repetitive counting, to strengthen his memory. Ultimately, his doctors figured out his problem, after which he underwent treatment that eliminated his pounding headaches. Besides his health ordeal, George suffered heartache when he lost his grandmother, brother-in-law, and dog within 12 months. Sadly, his sore trials were far from being over. Several years later, the Good Night and Good Luck star had a motorcycle accident on his way to the set of Catch-22 in Sardinia. He reportedly hit a car while riding his motorbike at 75 miles an hour, landing on his hands and knees. In addition to losing his shoes, the actor shattered the car's windshield with his helmet. George said he knew from years of being a biker that paralysis was his likely fate after the horrifying crash, so he lay frozen, waiting for the switch to turn off. Miraculously, besides his neck and knee injuries, the Michael Clayton alum appeared fine. Before landing, he recounted thinking about his then one-year-old babies and fearing that he might never see his family again. Fortunately, George wasn't alone that day. He was accompanied by his longtime friend and production partner, Grant Heslov, who yelled at everyone around to call an ambulance. While lying on the ground and screaming, "The Hail, Caesar!" Actor said he saw people stopping their cars in the middle of the street, walking up to him, and taking his photos and videos. As they waited for the ambulance, George put his head on his friend's lap, watching the buzz around him. In a somber tone, the Burn After Reading star described how what he thought were his last few moments on Earth were merely a source of entertainment for others. Bouncing back quickly from his mellow mood, George resounded the words many uttered that day: "People were like a George Clooney." George, who separated from his first wife in 1993, revealed how he became content with his bachelorhood, thinking work would suffice for his remaining life. The Solaris alum said he had become convinced he would never remarry or have children because his life was full, thanks to work and his amazing friends. However, he only realized how wrong he was when he crossed paths with Amal Clooney. "I didn't know how unfull it was until I met Amal. And then everything changed. And I was like, oh, actually, this has been a huge empty space," noted George. Following his grueling accidents, the Money Monster alum said his loving wife forbade him to ride a motorbike again. Although he had been an avid motorcyclist for a long time, George said he happily obliged with his other half's order. Born on February 3, 1978, in Beirut, Lebanon, Amal is a Lebanese and British barrister specializing in international law and human rights. She and George met for the first time in 2013 after being brought together at a dinner party hosted by their mutual friends. They immediately started dating, and less than a year later, George went down on one knee and popped the big question with a 7-carat ring, reportedly worth $750,000. The duo married in Venice, Italy, in September 2014, in an intimate ceremony their close family and friends attended. Since meeting Amal, the One Fine Day star's life has changed for the better. Before asking her to marry him on April 28, 2014, George made them dinner and played his late Aunt Rosemary's songs in the background. "I am the cook in the family," expressed the award-winning filmmaker in a 2017 interview, saying he spent 20 minutes on one knee waiting for his girlfriend's response, shocked by his elaborate proposal and the romantic ambiance. In another interview in February 2017, George bragged about his cooking skills, saying he prepared a romantic dinner for Amal to celebrate their second wedding anniversary. However, he said his wife had to be fooled into liking his home-cooked meals, as she was never fully impressed with his cooking. George explained how he was oblivious to the idea of someone else's life being far more important than his until Amal came along. Considering himself lucky for finding the perfect partner, the Leatherhead star felt sorry for being in his 50s when he met Amal, only because he wished they had spent more time together. On June 7, 2018, Amal made her first ever public speech to honor her husband, George, who received the AFI Life Achievement Award, America's highest honor for movie career, at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood. Dressed in a stunning pink gown, Amal admitted to being nervous, saying it was much easier to address a court on behalf of a detainee than to share her views publicly. Speaking fondly and with pride, she called George a gentleman, a wonderful husband and father, and the love of her life. Contrary to her husband modestly attributing his success to luck, Amal said it was his sheer talent and shining character that brought him all the accolades. The human rights lawyer shared that she met George at 35, when she had become accustomed to the idea that she would remain single for the rest of her life. After meeting the Tomorrowland star, Amal felt like she would never want to be with anybody, regardless of what happened. I couldn't sleep when we were apart, and I am told that I would display a particular grin and head tilt when reading his text messages or the letters he would hide in my bag, she added. Amal candidly mentioned that her feelings for her husband hadn't changed. She still adored him wholeheartedly, and his smile made her melt every time. My love, what I have found with you is the great love I always hoped existed, and seeing you with our children, Ella and Alexander, is the greatest joy in my life, she gushed. The social activist explained how her husband filled their home with everlasting joy way before their kids had deciphered that their dad was Batman, Mary Poppins' friend, and a talking fox. I am proud of you, but I also know that when our children find out not only what you have done but who you are, they will be so proud of you too, concluded the Lebanese-British lawyer. The two-time Academy Award winner watched with love and tears in his eyes as his wife doted on him, his Hollywood career, and their beautiful life together. When Amal left the stage and reached their table, they kissed tenderly. Besides his gorgeous wife gushing about him being an amazing husband and dad, George shared details about his quarantine life while staying at his Los Angeles residence in February 2021. The Ocean's 11 actor discussed his responsibilities at home during the coronavirus pandemic while helping his wife care for their then 3-year-old twins. George confessed to handling multiple loads of laundry and doing the dishes daily, adding that his kids could be messy. Moreover, he shared how he enjoyed cutting his and his son's hair but didn't risk touching his daughter's for fear of his wife's reaction. In another interview, the Ticket to Paradise star shared how he reluctantly resorted to scissors because his wife didn't allow him to use a Flowbee to trim his son's hair. During a brief lifting of the lockdown period in California, Amal celebrated her husband's 60th birthday by arranging a gathering for close friends. Standing in a room filled with many others, George became emotional and said turning 60 was a bummer. But after reflecting on the alternative of not being alive, the Perfect Storm alum recognized the significance of time, being grateful for his good health and active participation in sports activities with younger individuals. George expressed that he wanted to make the next 2 decades count, hoping to celebrate his life and accept meaningful projects that resonated with him and the audience. On another occasion, George revealed that he didn't allow his better half, Amal, to watch his movie Batman and Robin because he wanted her to respect him. Talking about his absence from The Flash, he jokingly referred to his role in the 1997 movie, saying he had led to the franchise's downfall. Amal confirmed her husband's statement, adding that the movie was on the banned list. However, the pair mentioned that their children might want to see it in the future, and their dad could bend the rule for them. The Clooneys welcomed twins, Ella and Alexander, on June 6, 2017, in London. They hired Connie Simpson, the super nanny who helped care for Matt and Lucy Damon's kids, to watch their bundles of joy. Everything went so well for them that they ended up endorsing one of Simpson's parenting books. Despite their highly publicized life, Amal and George prioritize their children's well-being and safety and are protective of their privacy, taking legal action against any infringement. The couple are hands-on parents to their babies, dedicated to teaching them humility, generosity, and love. During a candid interview in September 2022, the Clooneys shared intriguing details about their 5-year-old twins, saying they had mistakenly taught them Italian without being fluent in the language themselves. George amusingly said his kids being armed with a language that he and Amal didn't fully understand could cause them potential harm. Amal also revealed how their son had followed in his father's footsteps and loved pranking him. They playfully discussed how Batman was their son's favorite superhero, although he dismissed his dad's portrayal of the Caped Crusader. The British attorney also recalled when George wrote her love letters, with some pretending to come from his dog, who needed a human rights lawyer to save him from the wine cellar. Amal, 45, who once explained she had no plans of growing her family beyond 2 babies, cherishes her role as a mother alongside her husband, George, 62, and together, they showcase their unwavering commitment to creating a beautiful family life.
Chúng ta đã cùng nhau khám phá những câu chuyện thú vị và đáng chú ý về các ngôi sao hấp dẫn. Nếu bạn thích nội dung video của chúng tôi và muốn tiếp tục nhận thông tin mới nhất về các ngôi sao, đừng quên đăng ký, like và để lại comment ở phần bình luận bên dưới. Chúng tôi rất trân trọng mọi ý kiến đóng góp của các bạn để cải thiện chất lượng nội dung trong tương lai. Hãy chia sẻ ý kiến hoặc gợi ý, thắc mắc mà bạn có thể cho chúng tôi những thông tin chính xác hơn trong những video tiếp theo. Cảm ơn bạn đã dành thời gian theo dõi video này. Hãy nhấn like và để lại comment ngay bây giờ để chúng tôi biết rằng bạn đã thích nội dung này. Đừng quên subscribe kênh của chúng tôi để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ thông tin hấp dẫn nào về các ngôi sao trong tương lai. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong những video tiếp theo. Chúc mọi người một ngày vui vẻ và thú vị.